Right, everyone. Hopefully I didn't startle you too much there. I know it might be early when you're watching this. Business today. A lot of stuff to get through, a lot of big stories. There's no comedy, food, eating or anything daft like that. Serious business today. Things to talk about. Let's do it. And yes, the talking can finally stop. Thank you. We've signed Adam Idah. He's a permanent Celtic player. It was announced by the club yesterday evening. He's joined on a 5-year contract and will wear the number 9 jersey just like he did last season. Scored 9 goals for us as well. I don't know what relevance that has. I just thought of it there. And yeah, a bit like Paulo Bernardo about a week or so before him. This all dragged on so long that I've said everything I can possibly say about Adam Idah and the effect I think he'll have on the team. I think he's going to be a really good signing for us. That's all I'll say at this stage. He told Celtic TV, "I think everyone knew where I wanted to be. It's amazing for me and I'm delighted to be back. Within the first couple of days of being here when I came on loan first time, I wanted to play for Celtic. It was amazing to get all of those goals and to be in with the boys and to see these amazing fans week in, week out was unbelievable. I've never experienced anything like it and I'm just so happy to be back." Brendan Rodgers says, "The club has done brilliantly to secure this long-term deal. We are investing in a player of real quality who will be crucial for us over the next few years. He is a player who already has given us so much, performing fantastically for us on loan and really delivering for the club and our fans last season. He played a pivotal role in our success last year and I know he can be hugely important for us again." Idah will be in the squad for this weekend's game against Hibernian, I'm sure. I think we'll get to see him as well. Whether he starts, I'm not quite as sure, but I guess we'll find that out. Yeah, so we've got Adam Idah, Kyogo Furuhashi now as our 2 forwards. I know people are probably going to be a bit obsessed about, who is the number 1 striker, just like it was previously when we had Georgios Giacomakis and everyone wanted to know. I think the reality is that we have 2 number 1 strikers now, if that's possible, and that might sound daft. I think that's actually what Brendan Rodgers said a few weeks ago that he wanted at the club. So I think we're going to see these guys probably starting a similar amount of games this season. And the thing is, when they're not starting games, they're going to be coming on as subs for the other one after an hour or so, because that's what tended to happen last season. So basically my point is, well, you look at the starting lineup and we only play 1 striker, you might think, oh God, someone's going to be unhappy. These guys are both going to get a hell of a lot of game time this season. We're going to play close to 60 matches. You're going to see a lot of Kyogo. You're going to see a lot of Idah. And I'm just really excited to see those 2 bringing out the best in each other and giving us different options as well. I think the club deserve real credit for getting Adam Idah and Paulo Bernardo back to the club, because they were both players we wanted. I think virtually everyone wanted to sign them at the end of last season, Idah especially. Yeah, I guess they're marked down slightly for it taking so long. I'm not going to completely rewrite history and say that this was an efficient transfer capture from Celtic on either player. It's dragged on a hell of a long time. We should have got it done earlier on in the season, earlier on in the summer, had the guys a bit of a pre-season. Hopefully that doesn't affect things too much. But I think generally quite happy to have Adam Idah back. I think he's going to be great for us. His signing takes us up to having spent, I think, around £13 million this summer. I believe we've brought in around £8 million. So there still should be a fair amount of money there to spend to get a number of other first team players in the positions that we all know. And this is how the squad looks now. An updated view with Adam Idah at the bottom there. We have 2 strikers, everyone. Midfield suddenly looking a bit less cluttered too, with Bosun Lawal and Huku Kwon leaving. Kwon obviously only on loan. But yeah, Goalkeepers, fine, happy with that. Right backs, fine, happy with that. Centre backs, I would like to see Lagerbielke and Kobayashi moved on, and I would like to sign a first choice centre back, someone to partner Cameron Carter-Vickers. I think that's what the club has to do. If we do that, I'll be more than happy with Liam Scale, Stephen Welsh and Mike Naropski sticking around. Left back, we need a first choice left back. Midfield at the moment, I am happy with. We'll come on to a couple of midfield transfer targets in a wee minute. Right wing, to be honest, I'm kind of happy. I would send Yang out on loan, but I'm happy with James Forrest and Nicholas Kuhn there. I would want a left winger ideally. Not 100% sure what the story is going to be there. Maida, Palma, fine. Mikey Johnson. It's going to be interesting to find out if there's any update on Mikey Johnson, because he took a hell of a clatter on at the tail end of Sunday's game. So we'll find out if there's any sort of there's been any sort of effect on him, and if he is out for a period of time, then he may not leave the club this summer. But again, we'll wait and see. And yeah, striker wise, fine with that now. So yeah, it's kind of obvious. Centre back, left back are the main ones, the non-negotiables. I would want in a left winger as well, but we'll see. I know people want another striker in as well. I think if we do sign another striker, it's going to be someone young. I would like that as well. Not sure we're going to get it, but we might be surprised. So yeah, left back wise, Owen Beck, the main name, still being floated. Centre back, we're still kind of clinging on to the Darragh O'Shea stuff a little bit, but as I said the other day, he's playing for Burnley and even scored for them the other night. I did notice that he had commented on Adam Idah's Instagram post to say, "Love it, bud." It's not a particularly long message, but that didn't stop about 1,800 people replying under it saying, "Come and join him at Celtic, mate." Yeah, not sure that's going to happen. Right, a bit of chatter today about a couple of midfielders that I think will be of interest to you. The first one I wanted to speak about is a guy called Arne Engels. He's a Belgian player, young player, 20 years old, currently playing for FC Augsburg in Germany and doing very well with them by all accounts. He's said to have been one of Augsburg's star players last season. They had a pretty good season, finished 11th in the Bundesliga. To the extent that there had actually been a bit of chat about Engels potentially making the Belgium squad for the Euros. Their manager decided to go with the slightly older squad, let's just say, and not bring in too many young players. Didn't work out very well for them. Domenico Tedesco is the manager's name. I was trying to think of it there. So Engels hasn't actually played for Belgium, but it's a matter of time. He's rated very highly. And we're said to be interested in him. It's been reported by a number of outlets at this stage, but it seems to have first come from journalist and Bundesliga expert Ronan Murphy yesterday. Now, his take is that Engels would be a brilliant signing for Celtic. He says he's been a revelation at Augsburg and already is one of their most important players at 20. They definitely should do everything they can to get him over the line. Engels is rated at around £10 million, reportedly, despite having 3 years to run on his contract. Now, you would think signing a pretty up-and-coming, talented player who's doing well for a Bundesliga side to have finished mid-table would be a little bit beyond our reach financially. However, Augsburg have actually only ever received an 8-figure fee 5 times in their history, so they're not exactly used to demanding huge fees, astronomical fees, or certainly fees even that we have over the years. Obviously £10 million would be a record transfer outlay for us if we are interested in Engels. Seems very much like he's certainly on the list of contingencies if Matt O'Reilly moves on before the end of August. Similar kind of look. Engels is over 6 feet like O'Reilly, plays a similar game, lots of assists. Just having had a wee look at him, maybe he's a little bit more of an all-rounder, so he's better defensively, he's more likely to fire into challenges than O'Reilly. Perhaps O'Reilly's more of a technician, maybe a bit more talented going forwards. So it goes without saying, hopefully, that I hope that Matt O'Reilly stays for another year. Like, there's no debate in my mind. I'm not even remotely thinking about, that money would be very nice. I want Matt O'Reilly to stay because I think a midfield of O'Reilly, Hatate and McGregor would be a joy to watch for a season. Even at Champions League level, I think those guys could flourish. That's how good I think those three are. So I hope O'Reilly stays, but it's kind of out with our control in a weird way. Well, not in a weird way at all. It just is. If a club comes in with £25 million or maybe slightly more, as is understood to be how much we're holding out for, then O'Reilly will be away quicker than you can say liquidation. I don't know, just first word that came into my mind. Quite a long word actually. Atalanta maybe going to be the team that O'Reilly goes to. It feels that way. I think they're selling, is it Toon Coop miners for like 50 million to Juventus, so that may give them a little bit of money. Maybe it means we can demand a little bit more. I don't know. But anyway, this isn't really about O'Reilly. This is about forgotten his name. Arne Engels. It's about Arne Engels, of course. And I've said previously that I think if O'Reilly moves on, we have to go big on his replacement, and it has to be a player playing at a good level. And I think someone like Engels would certainly fit that billing in terms of like playing in a pretty, very competitive league, one of the top leagues, flourishing, young. And like if we're getting in 25 million for O'Reilly if he moves, like paying 10 million for a replacement is kind of nothing. You're still making a massive profit, and that's how we continue to go forward. As much as we only paid like 1.5 million for O'Reilly, I think if we sell O'Reilly, we're going to be losing such a good player that you need to go for that next bar and price and level of talent to replace him. So yeah, I think we all want O'Reilly to stay. If O'Reilly is going to move on, I guess a guy like Engels would probably appease us all in terms of a replacement. The other midfielder that's been mentioned today, this is an interesting one, is a report from the Scottish Sun on Dundee's Luke McCowan. He's the kind of guy that's been coming up all summer, especially when I've been doing my videos on the Celtic way. I'll see comments, maybe not every day, but certainly every couple of days, saying, Luke McCowan would be quite a good signing for us. He's been at Dundee, did really well for them last season. I think he may even have been one of the players nominated for one of the PFA awards. I could be wrong with that, I'm doubting myself now, but he certainly had a very good season with Dundee. Obviously a hell of a jump from doing it at Dundee to doing it at Celtic, but he's been mentioned a fair bit by supporters, but I think this is the first actual link we've had with him. And the Sun report says that McCowan is viewed as a player to bolster the Celtic squad as we juggle Euro and domestic commitments. So could we be looking at Luke McCowan as a talented squad player who wouldn't cost us too much and could give us some help in midfield this season? You may have heard that Hibernian have been in for McCowan in recent days. They've actually had a bid of £750,000 rejected. He's out of contract next year, so perhaps Dundee are looking at around £1 million or something like that. So yeah, he wouldn't necessarily be a player who would come in and start every week for us, but that doesn't mean that he couldn't be a useful squad player. Immediately, and I know they play very different games and positions, but immediately when I'm thinking this, I'm thinking of Johnny Hayes, who Brendan Rodgers signed start of his second season, first time at the club. And we probably all thought when Hayes came in that he wouldn't be starting every week, but Johnny Hayes went on to become quite a dependable player for us and is probably remembered quite fondly as well. McCowan's a different player, but could he have a similar role? And when you actually look at Brendan Rodgers' first spell at the club, he wasn't shy in signing players from other Scottish teams. So we had Johnny Hayes, we had Jack Hendry, we had Scott Bain, Yusuf Malumbu, Lewis Morgan. All these players were signed from much smaller Scottish clubs and came in. And I know probably the majority of them didn't actually work, but it shows that Brendan Rodgers likes the value of squad players. And it's not always players who are going to come in and immediately improve the first team. I think we all agree we need that this summer, and Adam Idah's done that, and Kasper Schmeichel's done that, and hopefully a left back and centre back will do that, etc. But also, if Luke McCowan's available for £1 million, clearly a talented player, can clearly do it at Scottish Premiership level, would probably improve as well, playing with better players, then it might just make a bit of sense. So I'm intrigued by this one. And it's certainly one to keep an eye on. You can let me know your thoughts on that and everything else, and probably this next story as well. The final story today is there will be no away supporters at either of the first two league derbies this season. As you will no doubt recall, earlier this year, an agreement was reached for Celtic fans to get 5% of Ibrox for derbies, league derbies, and Rangers fans to get 5% of Celtic Park. So it was certainly felt that was going to be the case. Starting on September the 1st, Rangers would get 5% roughly of Celtic Park. Celtic are said to have spent a six-figure sum on making changes to the away end for the game on September the 1st. I believe different amendments made to the entrances. Obviously, there's anyone who's been to a derby in recent years, when it's been like the 700 number, will know that there's been a lot of difficulties. There was one years ago that could have had really horrible consequences when there was a bit of a crush in the Celtic end. So it's been a bit of a logistical nightmare, I think. So the club have clearly had to do things outside the ground. I believe inside the ground as well. Like stuff like netting has been spoken about and will probably feature if this ever happens. But basically the story here is that we've spent this money doing all this, and Rangers have not been able to guarantee that they've put the same safety measures in place for the New Year derby. And as a result, Celtic have said that they'll be giving Rangers no tickets for the upcoming one. I guess the fear would be that we would give them thousands of tickets for the game in a couple of weeks, and then there would be some sort of issue for the game at New Year and we wouldn't get tickets. So given that Rangers can't even guarantee that New Year derby will take place at Ibrox, and they seem to be in a hell of a mess on and off the park, I think Celtic are probably fair enough in this. So yeah, what I'm telling you in terms of Celtic's stance on this, and Rangers not being able to guarantee the safety measures has come from the club. Believe they spoke to fan media yesterday, including GigPod, and Stevie obviously passed that information on. So it's a bit of a tiresome issue. As I say, I back Celtic's stance. If we've done all of this stuff, why have Rangers not been able to do the same? Or guarantee the same stuff? I've made my thoughts clear on this in the past. I hope a resolution is found for the final two league derbies of the season, because I think derbies are better with away fans. And well aware not everyone feels the same way. I know there'll be lots of you watching who think, just get Celtic Park packed and don't worry about the games at Ibrox. Not one opinion is right. It's just my own opinion that I like the derbies with away fans, because I think the atmosphere is better, and I just think you get more of a buzz going to the game. But I find it totally tiresome as well, so we might revisit this. I don't know, but John's on the channel tomorrow, so we might chat a little bit more about this. But the headline is that first two league derbies of this season will be entirely filled by home supporters. There won't be one away supporter at either match. Apart from that referee in a couple of weeks, it's terrible. Right, see you later everyone.